What up, guys? What up? What a beautiful day today. The weather on my end is fucking gorgeous, man. It's really, really nice weather. I don't know about you guys, but I'm enjoying the summer. Um, I think this is a touch grass type of summer. I mean, from the looks of it. But yeah, um, thank you guys for joining, first and foremost. And let's get started and see what's happening across the world. So first thing, we're gonna follow the same schedule. We're gonna talk about macro, what happened last 7 days, what's going to happen in the next 7 days, and then we're gonna chart BTC. We're gonna chart ETH and Sol, and then we'll look at some alts and take it from there. All right. So yeah, pretty much same schedule. So last week we had two big events, which was Bank of Japan increased the interest rate to 1%. As we spoke about it for about 2 weeks ago, and last week as well, we spoke about it. I mapped out the price action and everything for you guys. And as you guys can tell, that initially we could see a pump after the rate hike has happened in the market, and that could last somewhat a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. That's what we saw last time when they did the December hike. It was around here. If let me just map it out for you guys. We saw the rate hike around here. Then we had like roughly about a month of pump, and then we started the downtrend. So we could see that happen as well. So BTC could somewhat find a local bottom, possibly around here, then follow through with a nice little uptrend pump up to like mid-July, give or take, before we start that downtrend, right? Now, as you guys know, we're seeing a lot of people call bottom on the market. Personally, I'm fading those calls. I don't think the market has bottomed. Let me make that clear. That's my opinion. I don't think the market has bottomed yet, especially since the signs are there that, we have seen before. Now, in terms of like Bank of Japan, they're expecting possibly one to two more rate hikes to be done, and after that, we should have finished by then, right? So, for Japan to actually hit 1% interest rate, most people don't know this is the highest rate it has had since, what was it, 31 years. So, and we haven't seen Japan hit 1% in 31 years. So that takes us roughly to 1995. So 1995 is when was the last time we pretty much had 1% interest rate in Japan. So what that means is this is like a lot, as I said, a lot of people get their liquidity from Japan because the rates are negative or nearing 0% or just above 0%. Being at 1% is not very ideal situation. So a lot of the liquidity is slowly gonna come out over time until this situation improves. The other macro event that we had, which was FOMC, we saw that they held rates at 3.5 to 3.75%. So they didn't increase the rate, they didn't decrease the rate. But at the same time, I wasn't like, right now, the market is showing that there's only rate hikes that are that we're looking forward to. So in July, based on the CME, is showing either we stay at the same height or we do a rate hike. We don't have any odds for rate cut at all. Even when as I said, even when I go to January of 2027, it's showing that there's an 8% chance we're gonna be at the same rate. but there is a 92% chance we're going to be at a higher rate by then, right? So we need to take that into account. When do we, right now, when I look at the CME data, it really doesn't start showing any rate cut until April of next year, and it has it as 0.6%. In fact, I just want to point out, because of the stance the new guy is taking and how things are going to be presented, the CME Fed Watch tool is going to be more important than ever. All right. So you guys need to keep an eye on this tool. It's going to be very, very important. Now, here's an interesting fact about this tool. 30 days, roughly, they ran a simulation. They said that it has a 90% accuracy rate when you look at the odds 30 days before FOMC starts. So the next FOMC meeting is on July 29. So we want to look at what is the CME showing on June 29, June 30th. And let's just see what is it favoring. Is it still favoring a no rate hike, no rate cut, same rate halt? All right, we'll see those odds, and then we'll see if that appears to be the case, because I ran through the data and it said that 90% has a 90% accuracy rate 30 days before the actual meeting happens, right? Now, there are some changes with him that you guys need to understand. Is he said some very interesting stuff. One, he's in the previous FOMC people that we had, which was Jerome Powell and Yellen, they were always giving guidance on what they're gonna do next, and he's not. So he's not gonna tell us what the Fed is gonna do next. He's gonna keep that a secret. He wants to keep it low key. The other thing is they're still targeting the 2% inflation rate, which we are far, far away from it. I think, let me see here. We were, what was it? Like, we were at 4.2% for the CPI. So we're still way, way, like, there's a big issue with that. And the PPI year over year is at 6.5%. So we're still far away from the 2% inflation target they want to hit. All right. He even said that they will fix 5 years of misses on inflation. So when he said that, he was initially like saying that the previous administration were failures. So that's something to pay attention to. He is a then-day Trump's guy, so he can't talk like Trump, but he did indirectly say that the previous people in charge before him were failures, right? So those two things. The other thing that's really interesting is he's like the first Fed guy that actually pays attention to the stock market prices more than anything. Those were his words. So he's going to make decisions where I guess he doesn't want to impact the prices, because he said he watches stock market prices more than anything else when making decisions. So he's taking the stock market performance into his decision making. We haven't seen that before. And this was his first meeting, so we have to see how he's going to be over the next, like, for the rest of the year, to get an idea of what type of personality, how he thinks and all that stuff. Then we can start predicting his decision making better in the future, right? This as well the first time where every single member, all 19 members, agreed not to raise rates, by the way. And he admitted that the interest rates are hurting the housing market. So this is for the first time, someone came out and said it. The data has been right in front of us the whole time. I have been saying it that the housing market is fucked in North America, and it's because of interest rates. Jay Powell was not saying it. A lot of people were not saying it. They didn't want to acknowledge it. Not even Trump didn't want to acknowledge it. He's like, hey, people still have their homes, right? But he fully came out and said it that this is hurting the housing market, but it's not slowing down the financial markets, which we have seen, right? What happened? He didn't want to comment on the bonds either, but the bonds did drop by a little bit. Oil dropped by a little bit because of the potential peace deal that we don't know yet if it's happening or not, because every day they get closer to signing it and then something happens, right? So there's I can't really tell you if they're gonna sign it or not, but I'm more leaning towards that some shit is going to happen, right? So there is another interesting piece I want to say. One second, I want to pull it up. Um, so there is a very, very interesting piece that many, many people are not taking into account. We have an election coming up, a very important election, actually. And it's going to be Israel's election. And this election is happening on October 27. All right. And this is going to be if Netanyahu and Ben Gvir will stay in power. This is going to be a very, very important election. Ironically, and I'm not saying this because I'm not a fan of these guys. I'm saying this based on probability, prediction, blah, 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 all that stuff. Just based on that. I don't think they're going to get elected again or re-elected. I think they're going to lose their power. In fact, when they lose their power, it's going to be near the market bottom. It's kind of poetic how this is all shaping up to be, but it's when they lose, and if they lose their power and the market bottoms up and then we start pumping after that, a lot of people are going to be like, hey, the reason why we entered this bear market is because of them, right? And now that they're gone, everyone's making money again. But it's just, honestly, it's just, I'm more placing it as a coincidence, not them being the reason the market is bad. It's just a coincidence, and sometimes the simulation that we're in is just poetic, really. So this is just a poetic story that's happening, that they don't get elected or re-elected and the market bottoms out. So not a lot of people are paying attention to that. And I always said, we're going to bottom out in the market very late September to right after the midterms. So between this period of time, like very, very, very late September to the midterms, is when the market bottoms out. And during that period of time, we have this election. So it'll be kind of poetic that he doesn't get reelected. And if Trump doesn't fix the situation, I don't see him winning the midterms, and then the market will bottom out. Okay. The other situation with macro, you know, Europe is still impacted by inflation. This is still the same story. Nothing has really changed. I expected, when it came to oil, I expected to see a bigger drop in oil, but honestly, this drop in oil is very weak, and it's actually shaping up to be we're gonna see a pump in oil. And I said, guys, I keep repeating myself. Every summer oil pumps. Every summer oil pumps. And the reason why oil pumps is because a lot of these companies cannot work in the summer. They cannot go drilling. They cannot go do any. I know it sounds crazy, but like when I was living in the Middle East, a lot of times in the summer, these companies cannot work anymore because it's way too fucking hot. And people actually die working in the summer because they're not, look, they're working in the desert, literally. And the desert is always fucking hot, but in the summer, it's killer. So they cannot actually work there. It's too much of a liability. So that's why they dig a lot during while they drill a lot. They have oversupply and all that stuff to minimize that situation. But every summer, oil pumps. Every summer, right? Now we have the rumor came out that the U.S. only has 4 weeks worth of oil supply left, right? So a lot of a lot of countries are now like reaching their, well, entered their reserves, their last reserves, and they're becoming short on it. So now, as I said, even if they reach a peace agreement, even if all that shit happens, we don't see a fix in the supply chain and everyone gets their oil and everything back to normal, or their levels back to normal, until quarter 1 of 2027. And the longer this gets delayed, the longer it will take for this supply chain issue to fix, right? So right now, oil does look like it's going to pump. I mean, we're right at the 200s, right? So oil actually looks like it's going to revisit at least um 87, in my opinion. 87, maybe a little bit higher, 88, but somewhere between, I have 85 to like 90, let's say 85 to 90. So I do see oil pumping to these levels, right? Even if it's a bearish pump, this is very classic in terms of technical analysis. When the 200 hits, it pumps from there. It doesn't need to mean that it bottomed out. It could be a lower high pump. It could even pump to 93, 95, right? But we have to understand, we saw oil at one point hit $120, right? When we look at the monthly, we have to see, like, I don't see, obviously we have 9 days left. I don't see us retracing that completely, but I think July will be a decent month, could be a decent month for oil. All right. So what else happened in terms of crypto? We saw that Binance is having issue with Europe and their license, and they may not be allowed to serve European clients starting July of next month. So um, it's not that Europe is, see, don't take this news as Europe is banning crypto. It's just choosing which companies get to stay and provide that service, right? And right now, it's not Binance. Um, what else happened in crypto? There wasn't really much that happened this week in crypto. In terms of major news, I think that was the biggest set of news, which was the Binance thing, in Europe. Yeah, that's pretty much. It was pretty much a boring week. Now, there's one thing that's very interesting. There's a rumor going around which I don't believe is true, and I think this is just fake FUD. And they're saying that eventually that Hyperliquid with KYC. I don't think that's going to be the case ever. It would defeat the purpose. And oh yeah, the other set of news is, as I said to you guys last summer, I said in the future, a lot of crypto people are going to have more stocks in their portfolio more than ever. And last week, June 16th, Coinbase officially launched tokenized stocks that is backed by the actual share. So when you buy a stock of NVIDIA, it's actually backed by that share. So now when you buy stocks on Coinbase, you're actually buying their actual stock, right? So that's a good change. And what's coming this week? I mean, let's look at it here. I don't think anything major. We saw all the major stuff happen. here. Let's see. PCE is usually a fade. It's nothing really important. But we will have the GDP, so that'll be interesting to see how the GDP revision for quarter 1 on Thursday. But that's about it. Um, what else for this coming week? Yeah, because we're nearing the end of the month, things are gonna be more on the boring side. Not really big news. So you're just pretty much trading the chart at this point. You're just gonna be trading the chart, which is fine. What else? Let me go back here. Actually, I like the Bitstamp. I like the Bitstamp chart because it has more data for us to work with. Yeah, as I said, guys, when we first started the month, we were down only. I don't see us retracing this monthly candle, and I still don't see us retracing this monthly candle. Right? We got 9 days left. What else? Let's talk some charts. Let's look at some charts. Let's look at BTC. What do we expect? All that kind of stuff. So the other thing is, I mentioned to you guys last week that Sol is looking better than ETH. And yeah, that is the case. Like Sol is in fact outperforming ETH right now. I think the reason for that is, one, I mean, there is a coordination. I don't know. All of a sudden, see, like when I was telling you guys Sol looked better than ETH, it wasn't because of anything other than charts and flows, really. Now we're seeing CT's jumping on that train and everything, and Sol is really hitting some big resistance levels that if it clears, it really will go on a run. The other thing you guys should understand is that every summer there is some sort of on-chain season that happens. So every summer there is something happening on chain, right? And when I guess when that happens, Sol pumps because you need Solana, so people buy Sol to trade on chain and yada yada and so forth. But yeah, overall, let's look at what's happening on the weekly. We did print a bullish divergence. So when I said if we print this bullish divergence and we held the 200 MA so far, I'm expecting a pump, somewhere between 70 to 75k, give or take, at the very least, right? We had printed this bullish divergence. Maybe in July we do the pump to the 70s again, and then we built the down move. Now the issue is, when you print a bull divergence on the weekly, we do get a nice run. But it's not always the first one. It's always like, okay, when we look at last cycle, we printed a pivot, bull dev, and a pivot, then we shot up. Then over here, we printed a pivot, we had a little pump, and then we printed 2 bullish divergences, and then we bottomed out. Over here, we printed the pivot, we had the nice run up to like 82. Now we printed the bull dev. Now we should have one more final leg down. If it prints another bull dev, that could mean somewhat of a significant bottom on the weekly chart at the very least, right? Now, the issue is, I'm not sure yet where we will bottom. I can't tell you 100% sure. I do have various ideas of where we could bottom. The issue that I'm personally having with is Michael Saylor. And Michael Saylor is like, okay, we know something's going to happen there. We can see the cracks showing up now. And they're not pretty. and his cracks are very much similar, like very similar to Luna. I hate to say it, but like he's promising, what was it, a 12% yield a year and all that stuff, and has to maintain $100 price point, but now it went down to like what, $90 or some shit like that. And then you got people, I think the CFO came, he's like, yeah, I didn't pay down my house, I put it all in MicroStrategy, and my mortgage rate is 1%, I'm getting 12% from MicroStrategy, that's gonna pay off my mortgage, yada yada and so forth, all that type of shit. Yeah, uh, like it's literally mimicking, rhyming, like Luna at this point. And many people are not. Well, some people are seeing those patterns. Some people are choosing to ignore those patterns because he's too big to fail, type of thing. But I always said, one person holding this much supply is not a good thing. It's not a good thing for an asset like BTC. If we want to see BTC hit $1 million in the future, Michael Saylor needs to be out of the way. He's just a pain point for every BTC holder and all that stuff, to be honest. And he's kind of like contradicting himself, where he says, "I'm never selling," but then he sells and yada yada. But then it's more about like paying dividends now. That's what's important. He has to save his company. The other thing is, many people don't know, Michael Saylor has been charged twice for fraud. Has been charged twice for fraud. The first time he got charged for fraud was during the dot-com bubble burst, where they found out he forged his accounting and he made his company look bigger than it actually is. And I think he was ordered to pay a $20 million fine. And I think the other one was related to his taxes. It was tax fraud or something like that. But anyways, him and fraud have a relationship. First time, I can say it's a mistake. Second time, I don't know. What do you call it? It's an issue, right? So, what do those things have in common? What do those things have in common? Here, in the year 2000 and the year in 2024, both times separate charges. One was he falsified the MicroStrategy accounting statements. And the second time was more related to his personal tax fraud, taxes not being accurate, and all that stuff. He has an issue with actually presenting income statements or accounting statements, whether it's income, balance sheets, all that stuff, incorrectly. He has a pattern of falsifying paperwork to the government, to the SEC, and to his shareholders. When you do it the first time in the year 2000, okay. When you do it 2 years ago with your personal taxes, that means the pattern never really went away. That means he was hiding it for quite some time, and he is actually capable of just lying to your face. All right? You always have to look at like when you look at the actions of someone, like something like this, where you have to look at their actions, you have to look at what they're capable of. If he's falsifying his tax papers, that's okay. That tells you something. It's both fraud, right? So he's capable of fraud, right? And keep in mind, guys, he had to pay a 40 million settlement in 2024 for his tax fraud, and it was the largest income tax fraud recovery in the history of the District of Columbia. Okay? He was evading, and this is the irony, he was evading $25 million in district income taxes between 2005 and 2021. So this motherfucker was committing fraud in broad daylight for decades. and hiding it. It wasn't like, oh, this one income statement or one filing is incorrect. He was filing incorrectly for fucking 16 years. And ironically, they found out is in 2021, yes, but he started his Bitcoin strategy and treasury 1 year before that in 2020. So, is he capable of even committing this fraud on MicroStrategy? The the answer is why is it's like, you know, the answer to that is he's capable. You know, it's not that it's impossible he'll do it. It's not that he didn't do it. It's not that he did do it. It's the answer is he's capable of doing it. All right. So I think there's going to be a Sailor showdown, and yeah, and it's kind of ironic because in the year, as I said, in the year 2000, when he did the fraud, this was not just him, it was him and two other executives at his company, and they did another set of accounting fraud. They were inflating their financial results. So they were again showing that they were making more money than they actually were, right? And the SEC said that they were improperly recognizing revenue from multi-million dollar software and consulting deals before the contracts were even finalized. So they were artificially inflating their profits, right? And again, Saylor did not deny this. They just paid $11 million in penalties, and Saylor had to pay out of his own pocket, I think $8.4 million, and there was a mega stock crash following that happened, and the stock actually never recovered until it was tied to Bitcoin's performance. So the okay, this is why you guys need to understand. A lot of people in the stock market knew he was a fool and a fraudster based on that. So his stock never pumped. It never did as well. It never actually recovered its all-time high until he tied Bitcoin to his company. He found a new set of fools to buy into his company. That's what it is. Because the old guard knew what he was capable of and avoided it. The other thing is, ironically, you know what's funny about this? When my first job, and my first job was about 11 years ago, I was using MicroStrategy, like the actual software for data analysis, all that stuff, to obtain all this to make good decisions for my job, right? At that time. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, his software was fucking good at a corporate level when you're in a corporate company and everything, and you need to obtain data on like your whole team, and you got a team of like 30 people and all that stuff, and you need to make good decisions and all that to improve things and whatnot. His software is actually useful, but it's not it's not that valuable. And now with AI and everything that's happening, I think MicroStrategy's whole business is at threat unless they figure out a way to make improve their actual business model and not have it fully tied to Bitcoin's performance, right? So this is the main thing that many people are not taking into account when it comes to Saylor and what he's actually done in the past. So yeah, Saylor is capable of fraud. He is. He's done it twice before. We have to take into account that he's capable of fraud even when it's doing this fucking MicroStrategy bullshit. And it doesn't really help that he designed all of this using Chat GPT. Like, motherfucker did not even use Claude. Like, fuck, bro. He didn't even use like Claude Max or like fucking Fable or some shit. The fucker used Chat GPT. The fucker used Chat GPT, bro. Come on, man. Like, fuck? Even I'm pissed off when I read that. All right. So going back, let's look at the chart. We got the weekly. It's holding on the 200s. It needs to hold the 200s. I think the bull dev should play out somewhere into the 70s ultimately, right? And I think it's more towards the 75K because around here. So I'll have that. That's where you need to pay attention. But ultimately, if you want for us to be bullish again, if we want to be bullish again, we need to start having we need to have first a higher high. So now we're still printing lower lows, right? But if we were to pump and close above this high, and let's say close above 85K, that's a good sign. That tells me the pullback, maybe it'll pull back to the 75, and then we can actually build a move there. So unless we get a weekly close above 85K, that's a different story. But ultimately, I think we're going to 75K. If like this bull dev should play out to 75K, in my opinion, and that will take us to the 3-day resistance level, which is the 50 MAs and whatnot. All right, that was when we lost the trend. So for us to revisit the trend, it's not out of the where we lost the trend, to revisit that area. It's not out of the question, especially when I look here. Like, okay, this 3-day over here is not that bad because it came, it grabbed this bottom over here and it got instantly bought up. So far that's a good sign. But if we start closing the 3-day below this wick, we're going lower. So that's something to pay attention to as well, right? But ultimately, I think over time we should build somewhat of a move to the 34 and 50s EMAs and MAs, which is around 75K. All right. And the daily for me has not really changed. I want to see more. If we're gonna go, I want to see somewhat of a move where we go above this high. That'll be a good sign as a start. And as you guys can see, we rejected, but we didn't fully come down. We came down to like 72K once we saw the 4-hour lose the trend. So ultimately, I kind of want to see the 1-day close above 34 EMA. That would be a really good start. So I would have it at like 68.5, 69K, 50 EMA. Hopefully not a rejection right there, but that'd be great. That would be great. And then when we come down to the 12-hour, the 12-hour is, again, we rejected it. We came right on the resistance. We closed above the 34, couldn't get to the 50s. Now the goal is to get over the 50s. Like, we want to get over the 50s, get above this high. So 67K. I want to get above the 50 EMA. So I have 12-hour 67K. All right. And now it'll be nice if the 4-hour can get above the 89 EMA. Because right now when I look at it a little bit closer, you can tell the 13, 21, 34 is trying to cross bullish, right? But it's really sandwiched up between the 100 MA, the 50 MA, and the 89. Like, this is a pure sandwich setup. So what really needs for it to clear is a close above 65K, in my opinion. Get above the 89 and all that stuff. That'd be very helpful for BTC, and that could get us a move to the actual, see, the 12-hour is right on the 200, like close to the 200s. So if we get a move to 65K, I expect like a nice little gap fill to this area. So a move above 65 can open the doors to 67 to 69K. on BTC. Okay, if we manage to close the daily above 69k, then yeah, we will be actually talking about finishing off the move into the 70s, somewhere around there. All right, so first step, get above here, go above here, and then fill it up here, reject, and then go down. Now, we don't know the impact of Sailor yet. And this is a big factor as to how BTC will bottom. Because at the moment, Sailor is our Luna. Sailor is our FTX. We're all assuming how it could play out. But there could be a situation where he will actually mass sell a fuck ton of BTC. Ironically, guys, he sold just 32 BTC and we saw a move from 63k to 59k. 32 fucking BTC he sold. But when he buys a fucking what was it, 1,000 BTC, we have the smallest fucking pump, and then we retrace even lower. So if Sailor actually has to sell a fuck ton of BTC so he's not charged for fraud and he can satisfy his shareholders and all that stuff, yeah, we're going way lower than people expecting. Probably lower than 40k. Because at that point, I'm not sure exactly right off the top of my head his supply is. But even if he sells 10% of his supply, BTC is looking at very like 25k, 30k possibility. Because the move we just had from 63 to 59k was not even 0.5% of his supply. It was nothing. It was peanuts. Like, Sailor can fart 32 BTC right out of his ass, and look what the market, how the market reacted. So is the market fully pricing in Sailor blowing up? No. What is the market trying to price in? The market right now is not really focused on Sailor. Tell you the truth, Sailor is kind of on the back end of things. I think the market is more trying to price in the war situation more than anything. But crypto right now has its own war going on, and we don't know if MicroStrategy will figure his shit out or not. And that's actually why BTC and crypto in general has been underperforming to the stock market, is because of that one individual, really. And believe me, the big players have access to information that we don't have, through word of mouth, to everything. And yeah, that is the case, and they probably know that something's going on with Sailor, and that's why they're not buying. It's the exact same thing when it came to FTX. The big people in the industry and outside of the industry knew what was going on with FTX before we did, and that's why they actually pressed the brakes on a lot of things, because no one wants to be buying when a certain situation like that is cooking in the background while they know it, until that situation is dealt with. Okay, so those are my levels for BTC. Again, this does not look like a bottom. This does not look like a bottom. I feel like we got one more leg down, and it's going to be very aggressive. It's probably going to be the hardest leg, and it's going to be where a lot of people are going to quit. All right, so let's look at ETH. ETH printed, when we were charting it last week, it was, the weekly was red, but it flipped green on the news of the war. Okay, so it printed a bull dev, but I have the weekly right at the 200s, really, over here. It needs to run recapture the 2500, 200 EMA, 200 MA, then we're talking. Until then, we may just get a pump to 2200, give or take. Okay, out of this bull dev. Because as I said, guys, when ETH bottoms out, it's gonna be very aggressive, like this. When ETH bottoms out, and it's really like it's not that far away compared to last time in 2019 and 2020 from the 200s, because they're really stretched. They're really stretched. Right? So it's very possible we can see this level get come back to it. If, by the way, if you see ETH at 880, 900, just above 1,000, buy. Just buy, in my opinion. I think it will be a good level to buy. Okay? But until then, this level needs to be reclaimed. Yeah, Pookie, I would love, like, I wish he did fraud in the way that benefits us, not fuck us. But ultimately, he's always been part of every big trend. This is, by the way, this is another characteristic trait that many people have not seen. Sailor blew up with the dot-com crash. He blew up when new tech came out, right? History is fucking rhyming. New tech comes out, he's a part of it, okay? And he's gonna more than likely blow up again. It's so funny. It's like God is not on his side for whatever reason. It's so funny. Or his timing is bad, or whatever it is. And many people forgot that Sailor hated BTC. Sailor was an advocate against BTC for a very, very long time. He called it rat poison or shit, some shit like that with Warren Buffett. All right. Now let's look at the 3-day. The 3-day needs to get above the 34 and 50. Like, I've even printed a bull dev. The momentum, the selling momentum is shrinking, by the way. This is a good sign that of a pump is to happen. Because look at the momentum. It's shrinking. It's getting less and less and less, right? So in the last bottom, we actually didn't see that. Well, we didn't even reach those levels yet in terms of selling. So let's see how it will play out. But the momentum is shrinking in terms of bearish selling. Now when I look at the daily, I want to see, what do you call it? Daily make a higher high. So get above the 34, get above the close above it. That'll be great. That'll be a good sign because one, let me remove the EMAs. We have this bottom over here. We rejected it. All right, we pumped to it and we reject it. A good sign will be we reclaim it. So if it reclaims, then we gotta move to the 2000s cooking. Okay. What else? Let's look at the. I do feel like we're gonna pump today, possibly tomorrow. It does look like that. I do feel like Trump may release some good news today, just before the futures open. So let's see. Um, I don't know what was the latest news. There was some issues going on today that I read somewhere they refused to take a picture together or shake hands, and Trump threatened them. He said to the Iranian people, if you don't open up the strait or whatever, you guys won't have a country anymore, and you guys won't even make it back to your country, or some stupid threat like that. I don't know. Um, but yeah, when I look at the 12 hour reclaimed that. See, this was the nice uh Monday pump. It was a really good pump. We pumped above the 34, rejected the 50s, came back down. For me, I don't want to see us lose the 1600s on the 12 hour. It does look like there's room to continue into the daily resistance, the daily level that the bottom. It's all a matter of, can we close the daily above this level? If we can see where the 3 day resistance is. It's right at the 200s and the 300s and whatnot of the 12-hour time frame. So it does look like there's a possibility we can pump there. That I see it. As long as that 1600, 1650 level is being held, really. And when it comes to the 12 hour, 4 hour, my bad. See, the 4 hour 200s matches where the daily resistance is. So if we can get there, that'll be great. A reclaim on that will be phenomenal. That's your signal that we're going into the 200s over here. All right. So for me, I want to see uh, this 4 hour actually maintained. And it's kind of similar where I don't want to see the 4 hour lose the 100 MA at the moment. I don't want to see it lose this low, which is 1685, because it does feel like it's trying to cook a move at least to the 200 EMAs and MAs. It did come close last Monday, sorry, when he released the good news about a potential deal and whatnot. Yeah, that's the other thing, Pookie. We can't trust the news. Like, the fake news is even faker than before, because um if you really want to look at it from the outside, non-biased view, like not being anti-Israel, not being anti-Iran, just being as non-biased as possible, you can tell that the Israelis are not happy about this deal at all. In fact, they feel really threatened by this deal because, one, they spent a lot of money, they didn't see a return out of it. Two, the 300 billion reconstruction fund is actually real. That's another thing. If the war ends and everything, they do have to, ironically, they do have to give Iran that 300 billion. Why? Because that reconstruction fund is not to rebuild their country back up because of the war. That reconstruction fund is to actually fix up the strait and all the bullshit that happened, clean up the mines, blah blah blah, to ensure that every country that's importing and exporting through that strait is actually able to pass by safely without issues and all that type of stuff. The damage was significant, and America knows Iran does not have the funds to actually clean or fix that up, so they actually have to do it themselves. But what everyone needs to know is, when a country invests that type of money, it's not free. So this is why I said Ukraine and the Russia war is a good example of this. Ukraine is actually fucked after this war is done. And this has happened many, many, many times before. The money that they received from all these countries to fund the war is not free. They actually have to pay it back. And the interest rates are really fucking high. And when that happens, that that destroys a nation and its currency to pay back all the debts and everything and all that whatnot. That money that they got was not free. So it's the same thing with this 300 billion infrastructure or reconstruction fund is not free. No one is dumb enough to just give that money for no reason. The Iranians will have to pay for it in some way, in some form, and we don't know what the details of that are. All right. So when it comes to ETH, ultimately, these are the levels that I'm more interested in and looking at. And when you zoom out and you want to look at it better, you can understand why. All right. If we maintain these lows, we're printing a higher low. If we get above the daily resistance, we're printing a higher high. This is the main key will be the 3-day and the weekly resistance levels. Ultimately, I don't think we have bottomed out yet. It'll be interesting if we did. But again, we're prepared for every scenario, and I think probability is more on our side that we haven't bottomed yet. I think a lot of people are just getting really, really ahead of themselves at the moment. Okay, let's look at Sol. I think what pisses people off about Sol is the fact that, from what I'm reading, it's not my opinion. Again, I'm just reading what CT said. I think what pisses people off about Sol is the fact that so many big accounts all of a sudden started talking about it. And they started talking about it here on last Friday, and it's gone up. But as you guys know, I even said this last Sunday. It was before this pump happened. I was telling you guys that $68 Sol looks better than ETH and BTC. It's printing higher highs and higher lows on the 4-hour, just following the structure. Yeah, and yeah, Pookie, everyone's saying Ansem bottom Sol, and then you got CT people saying that Sol paid Ansem to tweet about Solana, blah blah blah, all that type of stuff. Ultimately, I'm just going off the charts, and as of last week, last Sunday, I was telling you guys Sol does look better than ETH. And for before last week, I was telling you guys Sol was looking shittier than ETH. And during that period of time, ETH was outperforming Solana. Now, when I said that Sol looks better, it actually did. It's outperforming. So let's compare. Sol is already at the 200s on the 4-hour. ETH is still far away. BTC is still far away. Look at the difference. Okay, when we were charting it here, I was showing you guys the 13, 21, 34 already turned bullish with the structure of showing higher highs and higher lows, which led to a pump to the 200s, reject, and we printed another higher low. Okay, now can we reclaim the 200s? That's a different story. What does Sol need to do? Okay, first things first, I remove this. It needs to maintain this level on the 4-hour 70, 71. All right, we got this over here, we got this over here, we lost it once, we had this move, and then we retested it, we moved up. If we close the 4-hour below this, I think we're gonna go below. That's it. We revisit the lower 60s over here. Okay, so that 71 level is very crucial at the moment. for the 4-hour to maintain its structure. Okay, and that's where, when you look at the EMAs and MAs, that's where the trend is showing. We see the 13, 21, 34, the 50s, and 20, blah, 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 all that stuff all lined up nicely. So it's all mapped that we got the trend filter matching up with the structure. That's where you have confluence. All right, that's when you have confluence, when the structure is matching up with the trend filter. All right, so if that level is being held on the 4-hour, we're good. Now, in terms of the 12-hour, 12-hour looks really good as well. As I said, guys, Sol is looking better. As I said, every summer there is an on-chain season, and they're actually trying to revive back Pump Fund on-chain season. So for me, I want to see the 12-hour hold 66, 67, 67, 67. All right, hold 67 because it maintains the SNR flip. But honestly, if I see the 12-hour hit there, I'm not gonna feel that great about it, unless we can tap here. But I don't want to. I want to see kind of a wick where the candle closes above 68.5 or 68.25. Really, we can tap this for liquidity, but let's just close above here, the 68, or yeah, $68 mark. All right. Now, on daily, this is where it gets interesting. Sol is literally hitting its daily resistance level. All right. It's really close to it. And it's right on the 34. If we can clear $76 on it, it'll be Gucci. It'll be Gucci because now we printed a higher high on the daily. We're going above. We closed above the wick and all that type of stuff. So I've talked about this many times. It'll be really nice. It will be really nice. And for me, honestly, Sol does look like it's gonna go on a run. I know some people have Sol going to like $150. I don't think it's gonna go to $150. I don't think that's the case. If it goes to there, this is where, all right, some people, this doesn't make sense structurally to go there from here, because we would have nearly reclaimed the weekly trend. Going to $150 would have reclaimed the daily trend, would have reclaimed the weekly trend, would have blah, 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 all that stuff. The market has bottomed. Ultimately, if you think we're going to go to $150, you think Sol has officially hit its bottom. We're not going to break this low. We're not going to go lower than $60. That's so if you carry that opinion, buy Sol. Because if it goes to $150, it's not going to come back down to this low. All right. So this is why I don't hold that sentiment, and I'll show you why. So when we go to the 3-day, okay, we got the $85 mark, which is where we ultimately need to get above. All right, which is the 34 and the 50s and all that stuff. But at the same time, the weekly and the 200s, the 200 on the weekly and the 34 EMA are at the same level. So ultimately, if we start clearing these levels over here, I don't see us going above 106. As I said, guys, structurally, That means we are reclaiming these lows. Why would we stop at over here? If we reclaim the 200s, if we reclaim the structure, if that's when we go bullish, that's when actually we go back to all-time high. The target of 150 at that point becomes too fucking low. Why would we stop here? That doesn't make sense. You just reclaimed the 200s. You just reclaimed the whole SNR flip. You just reclaimed everything. All right? Even on the monthly, right? When you look at the monthly, you would have reclaimed the whole trend, the 50s and all that type of shit. Now look at the monthly chart. Here's another thing. So now I showed you guys these levels, right? Look at the monthly chart. It's so funny. What is this candle right here? Look at it. And look at the candle beside it. This was the June candle. I removed the EM after losing the trend. We lost the trend, just like here. Same situation. All right. This was the June. Looks very similar. This was July. So July just went back to these wicks or whatever. And then we started going down again. So again, I don't see us like I don't think people understand what a monthly chart actually looks like, because what you're assuming is all of a sudden in this environment, in this macro condition, in this rate condition, in this inflation situation, in this situation where everyone is fucking hungry and not willing to gamble and being very very like trying to save up all their money, that we're gonna print a candle that takes us to 150 or whatever. You really think we're gonna be here and then just one candle is gonna take us here? That doesn't work out that way. Even when we bottomed, it didn't work out that way. See? So this is why when you're taking charts and everything from CT and every, you really have to look at what does the highest time frame structure look like. Not saying Sol will never hit 150, but when you look at it on a monthly time frame, it's not gonna hit it in July. Unless fucking the US government comes out and says, hey, we're gonna dominate and we're gonna fucking buy Solana or some shit like that. Even then, like fuck. Right? When Trump released the whole fucking Trump coin, we saw Sol go from 176 to 295. Right? And that was Trump. I'm sorry guys, but CT doesn't have the same type of pull that Trump has. I do think we're gonna go up. I don't. I think at the most 100, 110. That's gonna be fucking phenomenal. But I don't see above that. Unless, as I said, unless this is the actual market bottom. So you need to ask yourself this: did the market actually bottom? And if the answer is yes, buy. Buy. Why do you care? All right. My moving average EMA script is in my channel, bro. Just check my pinned tweets. It's on trading view and everything. It's open to the public. Let me see here. Where did I put it? It's somewhere in my scripts. Like just check my channel. You'll be able to find my EMA MA script. All right. So those are the levels for BTC, ETH, and Sol. All right. I'm not saying a pump won't happen. I'm just trying to let's take it level by level, as always. The market hasn't officially bottomed, in my opinion. That's my take on it. So now let's look at some levels here. So let's look at some what's showing up on the scanner. Ironically, I forgot to post this, but a lot of the coins actually did very well for like a day or two that I listed. I think Eva was like the shining star at that point. What was it? It was, yeah. Eva was here, somewhere around here. Six, yeah. Did 100% run. Pretty clean. Now let me put here. Let's see what's showing up. Keep in mind, guys, this scan came out about three hours ago, right? The new scan isn't coming out for another hour. Damn. Did they cure cancer? Why is this? All right. I'm not chasing this. Saga's pumping. Feels like a retest of resistance. Hmm. You guys notice how all these alts actually pump very good on the weekend. Like, here's the funny part. You guys, here's some alpha for you guys. Actual alpha. You can ignore Monday to Friday nowadays. You're better off not trading Monday to Friday and just trade Saturday and Sunday. Ironically. And you'll probably make more money trading alts on Friday, on Saturday and Sunday, like, and then going into Monday, then and just ignoring Monday to Friday and what the Americans are doing and coming out with and all that stuff. It's so funny that if you trade outside of American hours for altcoins, you probably make more money. That's real alpha for this market condition. Just trading alts on the weekend will make you more money. Yeah, we used to. But remember, at that time, BTC was on a bull trend. And now it's the opposite. It's on a bear trend. So it does the bearish pumps on a weekend. Um, Not really finding a lot of things that I would personally take. Huh, wait a sec. What the fuck is this? Ironically, this one might not be bad. It might do a gap fill to the 200s. One sec, I want to check. I forgot to check something. Yeah, funding for BTC is still positive. ETH. Yeah, Sol funding is so net positive as well. Okay. Alright. Everything looks like a bearish pump. What is FLNC? Doesn't have any info. Damn. This one got cooked. Bliss actually still... Yeah. Now keep in mind, guys, like for example, Bliss looks good, right? Reclaim the 12-hour, blah, blah, all that stuff. Doesn't mean I'm gonna blindly enter it. I'm gonna wait for like a retrace, a nice pullback where the confluence is still there and get in, right? That's what you need to do. Velvet, it's probably, yeah, it was crazy. Even this. This one looks like it's about to run. Sky AI. See what I mean? This one looked good, but it's gonna do a pullback, wait for the pullback to finish, and try to get in. This one is entering its distribution phase. VVV. Let me keep the 50s to 100. See? It's doing this type of move, but this was at the start of the move. This was a bullish pullback. This could be a very long distribution that will lead down if it doesn't reclaim these wicks over here. So VVV needs to get above $19 in my opinion. All right, just give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. 1 moment. All right, I'm back. So yeah, for VVV, you can't, if it wants to make a new all-time high, it really needs to get above, like not 19, but more like $18 and whatnot, and actually close the daily above these wicks, because it kind of is starting to look like a distribution. Um, yeah, it does look like it'll go for some, possibly a pump. But you can play the move to like 18, but if it starts crossing 18, you may have caught the move for a new all-time high. The thing about VVV, it's very ironic. I'll tell you guys in a sec about it. And it's a good thing, by the way. All right. This one has, I don't know. It's just chopping sideways. See, right? What else? If you guys have any charts, um, mm, mm, mm. Let's see, river. Yeah, I'll put river. Now look at SpaceX. It's funny how these two come up together. One second. Okay. And let's see when this market dump is done and wait for the new scans. Let's see what's happening on the short side. Mm, mm. Damn, these charts, some of them actually look like shit. All right. Okay. Now we looked at some charts, some alts. Let me know, guys, if you have any SpaceX, UB, check. Okay, let's see. SpaceX. Hmm. I think when it comes to SpaceX, I have like a couple friends that invested in it. They said they get their, well, in my friend's case, he's getting all his shares unlocked over the next 6 months, and the first unlock is going to be 30% of his shares, and then it's slowly going to unlock over a period of 6 months. The thing about these IPOs is not really much to work with here. Um, as you see it with Facebook, more than likely, um, SpaceX will retrace below $150. More than likely. I think their market cap is at $2.4 trillion. Um, hmm. The question is, will it break um, the $1 trillion market cap and go slightly below it? Let's see. Meta. Our, I remember Meta very well, the launch of it. I was still in college paying attention to it. So, this is Meta, the first launch. It went way below its launch price. In fact, I had a 60% downtrend first. Upon its launch, it went down 58%. Then it bottomed out, and then it went up only, right? So SpaceX, if it was to do something, because it's one of the biggest IPOs in history, if it was to do a 50% downtrend, and again, it took some time for that. Like we're looking at like breaking 100 really, but I don't know if it would follow that. That is the standard price action that we see for these IPOs. Is like eventually they come down and they have a little chop and then they just go fucking up only forever. Now, the funny part about SpaceX is it's not that I'm bearish on it, and it's the opposite. I think on a long-term basis, SpaceX is going to do well, right? You just have to wait for the initial unlocks to get out of the way, and people are gonna sell because, as I said, when I spoke to people that bought in, they want to cover their cost and then just pretty much let it ride because they know over a good period of time, it's smart to bet on Elon, right? So, how did Tesla do when it first launched? So this was Tesla's initial, right? It was here. It went down 40%, give or take. Okay, 40%. Then it went into a nice chop period, and here we are. So I think SpaceX is more going to follow a very similar suit. Um, Maybe not 50% down like Meta, but it doesn't hurt for it to go down just like 93, just below 100. And then when it bottoms here, it goes, then it's like pretty much up only, right? The thing is, when you're buying SpaceX, you gotta understand you're not buying one company. You're buying a merge of like three companies, right? What was it? Actually, more. You're buying four companies. You have X, the social media platform. You have their AI, which is Grok. You have Starlink, and you have SpaceX, right? So he combined four different businesses into one. So that's why on a long-term basis, I think SpaceX is going to do well. Just let the first 6 months, 1 year pass by, or whatever, finish the little pullback, and you just buy it. Because I think a lot of people, even the ones that bought into the private rounds and everything, they're holding out for the long term. They're just gonna cover their initial investment and then ride it out from there. Yeah, I am. I am old, I guess. I was in college when Meta did its IPO. Um, and I was actually paying attention to that because that was what I was studying. That was what I was in school for. I was interested in seeing how it performed. Um, but yeah, what else? Let's see here. Jupe. Let me look at Jupe for you guys. You got multiple bearish divergences, weaker, slightly shrinking momentum. Um, Bottom here. Da, da, da. I guess wait for a pullback, buy in. You can probably long it as long as 1960 holds. Really. Um, on the 4 hour for Jupe, 1935. Just in general, 19 cents. You would want it to hold. Otherwise, it's not looking good. I would probably revisit the lows around here, if not lower. Let's see, UB. The funny part is, let me find. Damn. Pretty clean. Um, for UB, it had its initial move, but if we can get above these, one is going to this point of breakdown of 12 cents. But the real thing is, for UB to have an extended run, it needs to get above 15 cents. Once we go above 15 cents, I think it's gonna revisit its all-time high. So you got this point of breakdown. More than likely we revisit it, but this is the main concern. You flip this area, you can be looking at over here, this move happening. Let's look at Aztec. By the way, I was just thinking this the other day about meme coins, and I think a lot of the meme coins in 2023 to 2025 that launched, like I'm talking about the big names that are on centralized exchanges and whatnot, I think they're more than likely going to have higher time frame, lower high pumps. I don't think a lot of them are going to see their all-time high again. Um, there's a few factors to that reason. I think one, meme coins took the attention away from NFTs, right? So NFT market kind of died out because of the launch of meme coins, which is rightfully so. It was a good transition from there. Um, but at the same time, what is there's just a huge oversupply overhang in terms of the meme coin segment. Like, for example, Pump Fund launched. There was over 11 million tokens launched on Pump Fund. Roughly 99% died in the first 24 hours. Only like the number was showed like 1% actually made it to Dex Screener, right? Like listing and all that stuff. So when you launch a meme coin on Pump Fund, you have a 1% chance of actually uh, bonding. All right. So that's one issue that we have. The other issue is the supply of these meme coins is not shrinking, right? Uh, the supply is actually increasing. That's something to actually consider, right? So when there is a huge overhead supply, um, you can't like now when you look at WIF, Bonk, Popcat, blah blah blah, all that stuff, Fartcoin, yada yada, you're no longer early. The being early move already happened, right? Now, when it pumps again, it's pretty much sell into every rally, right? On top of that, you got more and more supply being created every single day. Now, when uh, the supply keeps increasing time and time and time again, that actually adds a factor of diminishing returns onto meme coins, right? So it's not that that meme coin segment is not gonna do well. It's just that the performance is gonna be divided up even more because that number is not going to shrink. Memes is not gonna stop happening. It's going every day there's a new meme coming up, right? So what in a casino, because meme coins are a casino, it's not um meme coins are a casino at the end of the day. There's you're not investing in any asset. It even says that you are investing in nothing. It literally says that for every meme coin. Now in a casino, when they keep increasing the supply, each spin pays less. You get what I mean? So, as meme coins supply keeps increasing, their each spin it's going to do is going to pay less. So, if you are expecting meme coins to hit 10 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion market cap, it's not. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see, as I said, you're going to see an increase in the amount of meme coins hitting 100 million to 1 billion versus uh, breaking above 1 billion, right? Because, as I said, the supply is increasing and each spin is going to pay less as long as that supply keeps increasing, right? The other issue is that we're not considering is that last cycle meme coins killed NFTs. I don't see a way back for the whole PFP NFT market because it doesn't make sense, right? So meme coins as well has its own threat that many people are not actually seeing as a threat, but like uh, things like poly market and Kalshi, like prediction markets in general, are actually a threat to meme coins because at the end of the day, people want to gamble. Meme coins is gambling, right? People want to gamble, but they don't want to gamble. Okay, when it first came to NFTs, people be like, "Oh fuck, I couldn't mint now to buy the floor," and then once they want to sell, they can't sell because no one's buying anymore, so the floor falls, right? Now we're seeing with meme coins, people bundling up the supply and rugging each other. Like, I mean, last cycle, I left so many fucking group chats because everyone in the group chats in between 2023 to 2025 was really rugging each other. Friends were rugging friends. All right, and no, some people admitted it. Some people are in denial of it, right? Some people had good intentions, but the majority were rugging each other. That one guy would create the meme coin and shill it to his group of friends. They pump it up to 100k, 200k market cap, 1 million market cap, and he sells, right? They were rugging each other left, right, and center. And in fact, it's still happening to today, right? Like right now, again, I'm just showing you guys something like this one. I see it all over CT now. All right. It's called Manifest. Great meme. Honestly, it's a great fucking meme. It's a good fucking idea. But they have 11,300 holders. Okay. But look at this. Top 10 have 10%. Top 100 hold 50% of the supply. That number was they, by the way, they're playing with the supply, they're changing it all the time. And they're trying to fool the stats, right? uh, but yeah, top 100 owns 50% of the supply. This is a great fucking meme. But if 100 people out of 11,300 people hold 50% of the supply, and this is the problem with meme coins. This is what is actually going to drive people away from meme coins. It's shit like this. And we see it all the time. They all coordinate, they blah blah blah, all that type of stuff. And then they rug the small guy. They take his fucking $200, and he's like, "Fuck this fucking people, fuck this fucking shit," and they move on. People are not gonna come to meme coins if this continues happening. That's the truth, right? And they're gonna move on. It's hard to be like believe in something when you're doing shit like this. All right. So I'm not saying meme coins are not going to get an uptrend. They are, but it's going to be a diminishing return, overhead supply. So it's going to be more spread out. Plus, this time, you're going to have two new competitors enter this gambling segment. One, Polymarket and Kalshi. Two, no one's taking account for this, AI agent tokens. Right? AI agent tokens. What's the? I honestly, man, when it came to Cope was really ahead of its time in terms of its idea, and I really wanted to execute the idea, but I just didn't. They changed directions and all that stuff, so that's why I'm no longer there. I don't know what's happening there. He's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. He's a really good guy, but just talking about the meme coin segment, I want to see the meme coin segment do well. I want it to do well, but you need to let the little guy win. You need to let the small guy win. You need to let people eat. And if you're always taking its money, just like what NFTs did, right? NFT projects took their money and fucked off. And if they keep doing that over and over and over and over again, they're going to look at new avenues to gamble with. And they're going to look at prediction markets, because you can't lie on a prediction market. You're betting on the outcome, and the outcome pays whoever, right? And AI agent tokens. So if meme coins wants to be important next year, we actually, as a community, as an industry, need to stop this whole meme coin on-chain bundling crap to this extent, where you have like I really don't understand how something can have 11,300 holders while 100 people, 100 wallets has the majority of the supply. It's not a good look. And then people pull out like the bubble maps and whatnot. And really, like, this wallet, like, see transferring major supply. How is all this, like, it's not showing every wallet, obviously. I think, let me pull this out here. Where is it showing? I show visualize. Yeah, this wallet here. So one wallet holds multiple percentages. Main one holds 1.6. This one has 2.6. Yeah, see one, and it's all divided up. So the wallet that holds the most, which created it, is connected to 1, 2, 3, 6 other wallets. You figure it out. Okay? Transfers, overview, like this wallet over here only bought one fucking, like this wallet, for example, start 19 days ago. 19 days ago. Look how obvious it is. They're not even trying anymore. 19 days ago. He buys one fucking shit. Alright? And it's manifest. Like, he spent $585, 7.8 sold, made, and he now holds $325,000 worth of an altcoin. Freshly made wallet. Like, I can go through all of this, but this is ultimately the fucking problem. It still is. It really is. Like, if you want to see an improvement in meme coins, this has to go. This actually has to go. This behavior needs to stop. If Pump Fund wants to survive, if everything that wants to survive. Like, okay, I'm not saying don't bundle, don't do this, don't do that, but don't do it to this fucking extent. Don't do it to the point where you spend $500 and you have fucking $300,000, $400,000 in your wallet, and you know it's all connected. You get? People are not stupid. People are not stupid. This is why it's actually becoming harder and harder for meme coins to pump and grow up and reach 100 million, 200 million, 1 billion again. It's because of shit like this. What do you think is going to happen when it hits 100 million? They'll probably push it to 100 million. Not gonna lie. They'll probably push it to 100 million. And you're gonna see everyone on CT tweeting the whole manifest, blah blah blah. But you guys know what's gonna happen at the end of the day. They're gonna rug. They're gonna screw the small guy. And then meme coins will look like shit again. But if, again, as I said, guys, if we want this whole segment to change, if we want it to become better, we need to stop being fucking hypocrites about what's actually happening. We need to really stop being hypocrites about it. And this is actually what I wanted to end the stream about. It's like this hypocrisy that we're seeing, right? As I'm getting older, I'm realizing being a hypocrite drains me. And you'll see it for yourself as you get older and everything. Being a hypocrite will really drain you. It's not because other people see it, it's because you see it. Deep down, you'll know if you're being a hypocrite, and if you'll know that you're full of shit. And if people that are shilling this cannot admit it, then they're full of shit. Really. Right? So it's best to always call out things that need to be called out for what it is. What? There's no harm. What's the worst that can happen? What are you scared of? Or I'm afraid this guy is too big, or too whatever, has connections. Fuck it. You called out the bullshit that was happening, right? So it's, you can't live like your life and your identity as someone of a fucking hypocrite, man. And honestly, I know a lot of you guys heard of imposter syndrome and all that stuff. Like, for example, most of the people that post pictures of Lambos, and we know this, are rented Lambos. It's hard it's like it's easy to fool the social media, to fool your friends, your audience, your coworkers, blah blah blah, but you cannot fool yourself. So you know deep down inside you're being a hypocrite when you post yourself with a Lambo that's rented out, right? You know what you actually believe, you know what you actually need to do, and where you're cutting corners and where you're lying to yourself. You know, that's why some people have money, but they're still not at peace. So having money does not mean you'll have peace, because you'll know you're an imposter, you're a hypocrite. So don't live life as a hypocrite. It's really not worth it. Just be authentic, be yourself. Do whatever you want to do. Do right by people and all that type of shit. You'll be fine. Honestly, you'll be fine. But as well, you really, really shouldn't be a hypocrite, because as I said, guys, being a hypocrite not only drains you, but even at work when you see hypocrisy, because we're traders, so us looking at charts is our work. When you see hypocrisy, it drains. And as I said to you guys, when you see a meme coin like that that's bundled up, that's about to rug people and all that stuff, that's gonna be draining a lot of people. You know, like they're gonna drain their money, they're gonna drain their health, they're gonna all that type of shit. It is what it is. And a lot of people have posted about it to avoid it, all that stuff, but again, it's fully bundled up and a lot of shit is manipulated. You just have to be aware of it, right? A lot of people say, well, like I tell you, health is important, family is important, honesty is important, discipline is important. I'll tell you all these things, right? But if my actions don't match what I say, like if I talk about health all the time, I tell you guys health is important. But let's say I don't go to the gym and I eat McDonald's and I eat like shit. I'm a hypocrite. If I tell you guys family is important, but I don't have a family or I don't hang out with my family, I'm a hypocrite. If I tell you honesty and discipline is important, but I don't have that, I'm a hypocrite, right? That that hypocrisy, I'm telling you guys what to do, but I'm not doing it myself. I'm a hypocrite. That will give me stress, anxiety, all that type of stuff. I'm not. Then at that point, I'm not living according to my own standards. So you need to avoid hypocrisy as much as you can, right? Um, you need to ask yourself when you're in a deep situation, and this is sometimes how I think, right? If I'm in a situation, and if someone came up to me with that exact situation, what advice would I give them? And then you start asking yourself, why am I not following my own advice? So if you are in a situation where you feel stuck or you have issues or whatever it may be, or you don't know how to navigate it, if your own best friend, sibling, or someone came up to you and asked you, hey, I need help guiding the situation, what advice would you give them? Then ask yourself, why aren't you following your own advice? And that's when your growth will start, right? So, again, you really, really should avoid being a hypocrite as much as you can and see the world and you for what it is. And honestly, build a nice set of standards for yourself. You don't need to copy other people. What aligns with you, make that your standard. And once you have standards in your life and you remove the bullshit out, be like, this is not, I don't, this is unacceptable, I'm not gonna accept this in my life, and you push it out, your growth, that's when your growth happens, right? And the funny part is everyone acts like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, and all that stupid shit. The truth is, you know what the fuck to do, you just don't want to do it, right? When you're in a situation, you know who you need to call, you know what habit you need to stop, you know what decision you're avoiding, and you know what truth you're refusing to face. The problem is not information for most people. That's the truth. The problem is not information. The problem is you don't have balls. You don't have courage. That's the problem. Right there and then. So pick up your balls, put it on the table, and have some fucking courage. What's the worst that can happen? At least you didn't lie to yourself, right? Because when you lie to yourself, that's when you're creating friction. And your brain registers everything. It registers when you lie. And it registers when it sends a signal that when you lie to yourself, it creates stress, resentment, and frustration. You need to manipulate your brain to being your friend because you can easily manipulate it to be your enemy. Right? And authentic people that have standards and everything, they're not hypocrites. They move differently. They're not trying to remember what type of person they were to you because they only are one type of person. They're the same online, they're the same offline, they're the same in public, they're the same privately. And once you know that, once you're authentic, once you don't need to show a face for here, a face for that, a face for that, that's when you get freedom. And that's when then you get alignment, then you get peace, right? So don't be a fucking hypocrite. Honestly, call shit out for what it is. And I'm telling you guys, same thing with the meme coins. If we continue this path of hypocrisy on it, it's not gonna do as well as people think it is, unfortunately. All right. So I'm gonna end the stream at this point. I think BTC should have a nice move up from here. I really hope so. The only thing that's fucking green out of the majors is actually Soul. Even Hype is looking not the same. I love the Twin Tower memes that people posted about the Hype. But yeah, as I said with Hype, where was it? Not Hype. Yeah, we want Zcash before I end the stream. Zcash. Keep a lookout for this monthly candle, guys. I'm a big, like, when it comes to monthly divergences, take them seriously. Take them seriously, because you saw here what happened with the monthly bullish divergence. And now we're getting a bearish divergence that's not confirmed until 9 days and 4 hours. All right, so I'm getting the stream here, guys. I'll talk to you later. Thank you again for joining. I really appreciate it. Let's have a great week and make some money. Take care, guys, and enjoy the weather. See you around. Bye.
Yeah, what are you up to?